Let's break down the first encounter to Trapped in the Village in Mare Lake. Hey guys, welcome back to Syndicate's Ethereum. My name is Dylan, your guide here through the Ethereum. If this is your first adventure here and you want to follow Syndicate and I on our journey as we provide you with better Dungeon Master tips or player tips, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below and also hit the bell icon so that you can stay up to date with both of us. Alright, so first encounter, let's get right into it. Hey guys, welcome to the table. This video is the third video in a series that's all about getting you started running D&D. We're going to break down the first encounter for the one-shot I gave you in the previous video, Trapped in the Village of Mare Lake. So, if you look at the table here, what I have going on is a simple breakdown of the first encounter. I'm not going to go into specific details about room design and that sort of thing, at least in this first encounter. I want to leave the blanks empty and give you Dungeon Masters enough to work with, so that you can make your own decisions as far as what you would like to have in this first encounter. The adventure begins with the party being trapped in a cellar in the village of Mare Lake. The village itself has recently been overrun with undead, and the PCs and the fellow NPCs are the only remaining survivors of this entire village. Now, I'm going to talk about the NPCs first. The first NPC we have is the Thief. Now, the Thief is the evil, aligned, antagonistic NPC. He doesn't like any of the other characters, whether it be player character, whether it be NPC. He also doesn't like this third NPC that I'll get to in a few minutes here. And he's going to be just against everything the party wants to do, everything they think. He's just not going to agree with any of them at all. Now, the next NPC we have is the Farmer. Now, the Farmer is the good aligned NPC. He's the NPC that you're going to use to help guide the players. Whenever they're stuck and they don't know what to do, or if they're just not moving the story forward, you can use the Farmer to kind of push things forward so that way the game keeps moving for everyone. Now, the third and final NPC is the Knight. Now, this guy is going to be unconscious pretty much the entire adventure. He was responsible for getting all of the survivors into the cellar, and as soon as all the survivors were made it into the cellar, he fell unconscious with some sort of curse or spell and hasn't woken up since. Now, the Thief does not like the fact that they're keeping this guy alive because he's unconscious and they have mouths to feed that are actually contributing to the group. Now, whenever the adventure begins, everyone in the cellar is going to run out of food. This is when either the player characters or the Farmer comes up with the idea of trying to get out of the village of Mare Lake before it's too late. To the north is just more undead outside of the city. To the south, there's a large lake, and on the opposite end of that lake is an outpost that the nearby kingdom has constructed in order to combat the undead, sort of like a forward operating base, if you will. The Farmer is going to recommend that the parties go out, find supplies to make a gurney for the unconscious Knight, and then from there, everyone can leave and make it to the outpost on the other side of the lake. Your party may not take interest in this idea, and they may just want to save themselves and leave. If your friends are there to have fun and there to go on an adventure, and if they're like a little bit good aligned, they're probably going to want to save this Knight. If you want to sweeten the deal, just pick one or two characters out of the party and say that that Knight specifically saves your life so that you can live. And that way it would only be fair if they help the Knight out, if they're even thinking that's worth their time. This first area in the cellar is a great area to have your party mingle with one another. If this is their first time playing and you need to break the ice a little bit, you can use the Thief, you can use the Farmer, you can even create some other NPCs that maybe have different attitudes, and you can interact with one another. One little tip here, and something that I use when I ran this encounter with my coworkers who had never played before, they would often ask me questions like, can we do this? Can we do that? Is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? And rather than answering them as myself, I would answer them as the former to kind of set in stone that this is a living, breathing world, and just to kind of give them the idea of role-playing. They weren't talking in character or anything like that, but I do think by the end of the one-shot they actually did enjoy it, and they came to expect me answering them in whatever NPC was nearby. Alright, so your party has decided to leave the cellar. They're going to go through the village, and they're going to find supplies to make a gurney to put the knight on so they can carry him out of the city. Some of you players may ask, well, why do we need this gurney? We're strong enough, can't we just carry him on our own? That is a good idea. Yes, you are strong. However, these undead are not slow, and if you don't have something that you can easily carry this knight with, the undead are going to catch up to you. Alright, I'm going to draw the next area, and we're going to discuss the encounter further. Okay, now your party has decided to leave the cellar. There are two ways they can go about it. They can either sneak their way out or fight their way out. I have here drawn the two possible options, and I have the thief here. The thief may or may not come into play. You want to keep him in your back pocket, help create tension, help move things forward. Let's go over the sneak example first. Now, as they're sneaking their way through, they're going to ask you what sort of buildings they have in the town. Let's say they ask, is there a carpenter's house, a physician's office, to see if they have any medicines. Is there like a cloth shop or a clothier so that they can find the material to actually make the gurney itself. If you don't feel comfortable just leaving the city quote-unquote blank, feel free to use these three options and just tell the party, or have the former tell the party that, hey, there's a carpenter's house, there's a physician's office, there's a clothier's shop. You guys should check those out. They should have all the supplies you need. That way you can kind of guide them. So with the party sneaking through the village, heading to these locations, you want to have some undead in their way that are easy to sneak by, or having a couple undead that the party could easily dispatch without getting into too much trouble. Remember that this is a one-shot and you're trying to get through the adventure as quickly and as engaging as possible. You don't want to bog the game down with combat after combat after combat. So you want to have the feeling that the tension is there, but you want to have things in place that'll kind of buffer the tension from the party actually getting in over their heads. Now, as they're sneaking through the city, this is where the thief comes into play. He is also going to leave the cellar after the party leaves, and he's going to go around the village on his own looking for any high value buildings to go and raid and loot. So let's say that he has found a nobleman's house. The party are sneaking through the village. Tell the PC that they can see him making his way to a very nice house. And as soon as the thief gets there and starts to make his way into the building, he's gonna make some noise, and the undead aren't gonna like that. Or actually, they'll probably like that a lot. Obviously have a lot of undead make their way to the nobleman's house, but also you want to have some new undead that are maybe either in the nearby buildings that the party is at, or maybe even the undead that they snuck by. You want to have them kind of show up in new areas to kind of bring tension on the party. And again, I would have scenarios, buffers, where you can have moments for them to easily sneak by or easily take one or two of these out without getting into too much trouble. The thief is there to create the tension and also to get most of the undead on his back so the party can get what they need to get and get back into the cellar to get the former, the knight, the rest of the NPCs out of the village and to the outposts. Now, if they decide to help the thief, that's totally on them. They can go ahead and do that. Now, let's talk about the fight scenario. So if your party isn't the sneak inclined party and they want to fight their way out, here's another scenario you can use for that. Reveal to the players, either by rolling, by having the former tell them, or you just tell them directly as a dungeon master, that there's a building in the village that's very easily defendable, perhaps the tavern. We have 2 party members staying in the tavern to fight. We have another 2 sneaking into the streets of the village and gathering the supplies that they need. In the fight scenario, I wouldn't have the lurking undead around, or if you did, I would have a very less amount and make the checks easier to sneak by. Unless you want your party to be between a rock and a hard place, don't do that and just have them trying to sneak past undead while they're trying to fight undead, and then who knows what will happen. So what is the thief going to be doing in this scenario? Well, he's going to see the party members. He's going to hear the noise that they're making in the tavern fighting off the undead. And just like in the sneaking scenario where the party took the thief's noise as an advantage, he's going to do the exact same thing. He's going to take their advantage fighting, making all that noise to his advantage. And he'll start by making his way into the city. And he may, again, just to increase tension here, he is going to kind of slip up some of the party members that are making their way through the town, getting the supplies that they need. Either by maybe making some noise, maybe he'll lock one of the PCs in one of the buildings. They'll have to like break their way out or pick the lock. Again, if he makes noise, most of the undead are going to be over at the tavern fighting the other party. So just have maybe 1 or 2 spring up. Just enough to freak the party out. You'll see this when you employ this on the table. Everyone's going to get nervous as soon as that thief's going to pop out. When everything's going down, the tension is going to run high, and just use that to your advantage to tell a great story. So while they're getting the supplies, what sort of fight should be going down here? I recommend sort of a wave-like battle, maybe 2, maybe 3 waves of undead that come by. Give the party enough time to build up the defenses of the tavern, taking the tables and putting them in the doorways, blocking windows, that sort of thing. Perhaps the first round of combat could be them just fortifying it, and while they're fighting, the folks here are gathering the supplies. Then they can either meet in the tavern or meet somewhere else, have the undead sort of breach into the tavern, they can sneak out the back or loop around, and they'll make their way back to the former, get the unconscious knight, and make their way to the outpost. So, I hope this encounter breakdown was beneficial to you. Those of you that found interest in this video and want to use this for their own games, please let me know. Let me know what you liked about it. Maybe let me know what you didn't like about it, or what you'd like to see done in the future. Until we meet again, Dungeon Master, I look forward to it. Until next time, guys, I'll see you in the Ethereum. Take care. Peace.